My husband gave his mom our house keys. Then she texted, "You're not welcome here anymore." So I called my lawyer immediately. Take a second to show us some love by subscribing. And let us know where you're listening from. It warms our hearts to see our global family. I was in the middle of a presentation when my phone buzzed. One glance at the screen made my blood run cold. Pack your things. You're not welcome here anymore. This is my house now. The text was from Diane, my mother-in-law. My hands trembled as I excused myself from the conference room. 3 years I'd poured into that house. The down payment came from my grandmother's inheritance, $50,000 I'd saved since I was 16. Albert, my husband of 5 years, had promised we'd build our dream home together. Now his mother was telling me to leave? I called Albert immediately. It rang 4 times before going to voicemail. "Albert, what the hell is going on? Your mother just texted me that I need to leave our house. Call me back now." I tried again. Nothing. My heart pounded as I grabbed my laptop and rushed to my car. The 40-minute drive from downtown Atlanta felt like hours. When I pulled into our driveway on Cascade Road, Diane's silver Lexus was parked where I usually parked. My key wouldn't turn in the lock. She changed them. Through the window, I could see her rearranging my living room furniture, laughing on the phone. That's when something inside me snapped. I wasn't just angry. I was done being the understanding daughter-in-law. I pulled out my phone and dialed Janet Richardson, the attorney who'd handled my grandmother's estate. "Janet? I need you. Now." 6 months earlier, everything seemed perfect. Albert had gotten promoted to regional sales director, and we'd just finished renovating the kitchen. Subway tiles, marble countertops, the works. I remember the night he brought up his mother moving closer. "Baby mom's lease is up in August. She's been talking about wanting to be nearer to us," he'd said, running his fingers through my braids. I'd been hesitant but understanding. Diane had been widowed for 3 years and Albert was her only child. "Maybe we can help her find something in the neighborhood?" I'd suggested. He'd kissed my forehead. "You're so good to her, Tasha. She's lucky to have you." What I didn't know then was that he'd already been having conversations with Diane behind my back. Conversations about how controlling I was with money. How I didn't understand family values. My best friend Shanice had tried to warn me at my birthday dinner in March. "Girl, I'm telling you, Diane been making slick comments about your house. Talking about, when Albert lived with me, he never had to ask permission for anything." I'd waved it off. She's just adjusting to not being the main woman in his life anymore. Shanice had given me that look. The one that said I was being naive. "Tasha, baby, you better protect yourself. Put everything in writing." I should have listened. Janet met me at a Starbucks off Peachtree within the hour. Her expression was grave as I explained everything through tears. "Tell me exactly what assets are in both names," she said, pulling out her legal pad. "Just the house. We're on the deed together, but the down payment and most of the mortgage payments come from my account. I make $78,000 as an operations manager. Albert makes $65,000, but he's always been bad with money." I used air quotes bitterly. Janet's jaw tightened. "Tasha, I need you to be honest with me. Has Albert been secretive about finances lately? Any unusual behavior?" I thought back to the past few months. The locked phone. The way he'd insisted on paperless statements for our joint savings. The time I'd found him in his car on a call and he jumped when I knocked on the window. "Oh God," I whispered. "What did he do?" Janet pulled up her laptop. "Let me check the property records real quick." Her fingers flew across the keyboard. The color drained from her face. "Tasha, when exactly did you last check the deed to your house?" "When we closed 3 years ago." "Why?" She turned the screen toward me. There in black and white was a quitclaim deed filed 2 weeks ago. Albert had added his mother's name to the property. Without my knowledge. Without my signature. That's not possible, I said, my voice hollow. That would require my signature. I never signed anything. Janet's expression darkened. Either he forged your signature or... She trailed off, pulling up another document. Look at this. The notary stamp is from Diane's church. The witness is listed as Pastor Raymond Coleman. The room spun. Pastor Coleman had been asking me to sign cards for Albert's surprise birthday party at their church 2 months ago. There were so many papers, I whispered. The pastor had them spread out on his desk. He kept telling me to sign here, here, and here. I thought they were all birthday cards and church pledges. Tasha, did you read what you were signing? I felt sick. I trusted them. Albert was standing right there smiling. His mother kept saying how blessed they were to have me in the family. Janet's expression was pure fury. They played you. This was planned. Premeditated fraud. She started typing rapidly. I'm filing an emergency motion to freeze the property. But Tasha, you need to understand, this is going to get ugly. Your husband conspired with his mother to steal your house. The words hit me like a punch. Phil. From me. The woman who'd helped him pay off $15,000 in credit card debt when we got married. I need you to think carefully, Janet said. Do you have any text messages, emails, anything showing you paid for the house? Bank statements showing the down payment came from your inheritance. I opened my phone with shaking hands. I have everything. I'm meticulous about records. My grandmother always said, document everything, baby girl. Even with family, especially with family. We spent the next hour combing through my files. Every mortgage payment, 70% from my account. The down payment wire transfer from my personal savings. Even receipts for the renovations I'd paid for. The kitchen alone was $18,000. This is good, Tasha. Really good. But I need something else. I need proof that Albert knew he was committing fraud. I thought for a moment, then remembered. Wait. I have our Ring doorbell footage. It saves to the cloud for 60 days. I pulled up the app and scrolled back to the day the deed was filed. There, clear as day, was Albert letting his mother in at 6 in the morning while I was at my early morning yoga class. They were carrying boxes. What are they doing? Janet leaned closer. We watched as they disappeared into my home office where I kept all my important documents. 30 minutes later they emerged. Diane was holding my fireproof document box. My social security card. My passport. Everything they'd need to forge my signature. Albert finally called me back at 7 that evening. Tasha, where are you? Mom said you came by the house acting crazy. Acting crazy? My voice was ice. Your mother changed the locks on MY house and told me I'm not welcome. And you gave her the keys to do it. Silence. Then, baby, listen. We can talk about this. Mom just needs a place to stay for a while until she figures things out. You're overreacting. Overreacting? Albert, tell me you didn't add your mother's name to our deed without telling me. More silence. My heart sank. You did. You actually did it. It's not like that, Tasha. She's family. What's mine is hers. She raised me by herself, sacrificed everything, with MY money. I screamed. My inheritance. My down payment. I've been carrying you financially for 5 years, and this is how you repay me. His voice turned cold, unfamiliar. See, this is exactly what Mom said. You think because you make a little more money you own everything. That's not how marriage works. Oh, so Diane's been in your ear. How long, Albert? How long have you two been planning this? Planning what? To make sure my mother has security? To make sure she's taken care of? You're being selfish, Tasha. Real selfish. I laughed. A broken, bitter sound. I'm being served eviction papers tomorrow, Albert. From my own house. Janet's filing charges for fraud and forgery. You committed a crime. The next morning, Albert showed up at my office with his mother, his Aunt Carol, and Pastor Coleman. My boss, Mr. Henderson, let them into the conference room. I could see through the glass walls. Diane was crying, Albert looked righteous, and the pastor was holding his Bible. Tasha, Mr. Henderson said gently, they say it's a family emergency. I wanted to refuse, but I walked in. Albert started immediately. Tasha, this has gone too far. You called a lawyer on your own husband? On your family. Pastor Coleman raised his hand. Sister Tasha, the Bible says we should handle disputes within the church family first. Matthew 18 tells us, stop. My voice cut through the room. Pastor, you helped them forge my signature. I have ring camera footage of you all going through my personal documents. That's a felony. His face went pale. Diane clutched her chest dramatically. How dare you accuse a man of God? Albert, do you hear how she's talking? This is the woman you married. Aunt Carol chimed in. Baby, you need to remember where you come from. Albert took you from that little apartment in College Park. He made you somebody. Something in me snapped. I made myself somebody. I have a master's degree. I bought that house. And Albert. I turned to him. You were working at Enterprise Rent-A-Car when we met. I helped you get your current job. That afternoon, Janet called with news that made my stomach drop. Tasha, I got the records from your joint savings account. You need to sit down. I was already sitting. What is it? Over the past 6 months, Albert has transferred $83,000 from your joint savings to an account in his and Diane's names. Small transfers, nothing over $9,000 to avoid bank reporting requirements. The room tilted. $83,000. My emergency fund. My security. How? I check that account monthly. The statements were going to his email. He set up paperless specifically to hide this. Tasha, this is structured financial fraud. He knew exactly what he was doing. I couldn't breathe. 5 years. 5 years of, baby, you're so good with money, you handle it. 5 years of him claiming he was bad with finances. It was all a lie. He'd been systematically draining me. There's more, Janet said quietly. Diane bought a Lexus 3 months ago. $45,000. I'm betting I know where that money came from. I remembered now. Albert had insisted we needed to consolidate our savings. Make it easier to manage. I trusted him. I'd signed the papers adding him to my personal savings account, the one my grandmother had set up for me when I was 10. 20 years of saving, birthday money, graduation gifts. Gone. What do I do? I whispered. Janet suggested I meet with Albert's family one more time, this time with a mediator present and everything recorded. Get them talking, she said. Narcissists can't help but reveal themselves when they think they're winning. We met at Janet's office. Albert arrived with Diane, Aunt Carol, and his cousin Devin, a man I'd never trusted. Devin had done 2 years for fraud back in 2018. Look, Albert started, playing the reasonable husband. We don't want this to get ugly. Mom needs security. You need to understand, Tasha, she's getting older. She deserves to have property in her name. Property she didn't pay for, I said calmly. Diane's mask slipped. I raised that boy by myself. His father left us with nothing. Nothing. You think you're better than us with your fancy degrees and your corporate job. Devin leaned back, smirking. See, 'cause I told you she was the type. Acts all sweet but really thinks she's above family. Janet cleared her throat. Let's talk about the $83,000 transferred from Tasha's savings account. Care to explain that, Albert? His eyes widened. Diane grabbed his hand. Don't answer that. That's our business. Actually, Janet smiled coldly, it's Tasha's money. She can prove every deposit came from her income or inheritance. So where is it? The room erupted. Diane screamed about disrespect. Devon stood up aggressively until Janet reminded him we were being recorded. But Albert just sat there and I finally saw him clearly. You really did this, I said, staring at my husband. You really conspired to steal from me. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Diane answered instead. Steal? Boy, please. Albert is my son. What's his is mine. That's how black families work. We take care of each other. But you wouldn't know about that, would you? With your bougie family and your I paid for everything attitude. My grandmother was a housekeeper, I said quietly. She cleaned rich people's houses for 40 years and saved every penny. That down payment, that was her legacy to me. Her dream that I'd own something no one could take away. Well, it's Albert's now, Diane snapped. And mine. We're blood. You're just a wife. Just a wife. Those words crystallized everything. 5 years of biting my tongue when Diane criticized my cooking. 5 years of pretending I didn't notice Albert's mother undermining me. 5 years of being understanding while they plotted against me. Janet, I said, standing up. File everything. The fraud charges, the emergency motion, all of it. And I want a restraining order. Albert finally spoke. Tasha, baby, wait. We can fix this. I'll talk to Mom. You had your chance to talk to your mother, I interrupted. Every time she disrespected me in my own house. Every time she told you I wasn't good enough. You chose her then, Albert. Now live with that choice. I walked out and for the first time in months I could breathe. The emergency hearing happened faster than expected. Judge Patricia Morrison, a black woman in her 60s, reviewed our evidence with increasing fury. Let me make sure I understand, she said, removing her glasses. Mr. Williams, you added your mother to property purchased primarily with your wife's inheritance, using documents you obtained by deceiving her into signing papers she believed were birthday cards? Albert's attorney, a public defender who looked miserable, nodded. Your Honor, my client maintains this was a misunderstanding about community property, Counselor. Judge Morrison's voice could have cut steel. I have ring camera footage of your client and his mother removing documents from a home safe. I have bank records showing systematic transfers designed to avoid federal reporting requirements. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was theft. Diane couldn't stay quiet. She stood up, shouting, That girl is trying to keep my son from his own house. I'm his mother. Ms. Williams, sit down or I'll hold you in contempt. The judge turned back to Albert. Your wife paid $50,000 down, pays 70% of the mortgage and funded all renovations. What exactly did you contribute? Albert mumbled something. Speak up. I helped with the yard work and emotional support. The courtroom was dead silent. Judge Morrison looked at me. Mrs. Williams, what do you want? My house back. Full ownership. And every penny they stole returned. With interest. Granted. The judge's ruling was swift and brutal. Albert and Diane had 30 days to return every dollar. $83,000 plus 18 months of imputed interest. The quitclaim deed was voided. Albert was removed from my deed entirely and faced potential criminal charges for fraud. Diane was barred from coming within 500 feet of my property. But the real shock came when Albert's cousin Devon got scared and started talking. Turns out this wasn't their first time running this scheme. They did this to Albert's ex-girlfriend, Janet told me after speaking with investigators. Lakeisha Turner. She dropped the charges after Diane threatened her family. Lost a condo in Decatur worth $200,000. I found Lakeisha through Facebook that night. Her message came back within an hour. Girl, I've been waiting for someone to finally stand up to them. I have everything documented. I'll testify. Over the next week, 2 more women came forward. Albert had a pattern. Date successful women, gain their trust, add his mother to their property, then push them out. They'd gotten away with it 3 times before me. Why didn't they report it? I asked Janet. Fear, shame, exhaustion. The system isn't always kind to Black women seeking justice. They make you feel like you're breaking up the family, being vindictive. Diane's good at playing the victim. But not this time. This time there were 4 of us and we weren't backing down. 6 months later I stood in my kitchen. My kitchen with only my name on the deed, making Sunday breakfast. Shanice sat at the counter watching me flip pancakes. So Albert took the plea deal? 18 months probation, community service, and he has to pay restitution to all 4 of us. Diane's facing fraud charges separately. Her church stripped Pastor Coleman of his credentials. I poured batter into the pan watching it sizzle. What about the money? Got every penny back plus damages. Used some of it to buy out Albert's half of everything else. The rest? Starting my grandmother's legacy fund, helping women escape financial abuse. Shanice raised her mimosa. To Grandma Ruth. She raised a fighter. To Grandma Ruth, I echoed. My phone buzzed with a text from my real estate attorney. Closing on the rental property next week. You sure about this? I smiled, typing back, absolutely. I was converting the house into a transitional living space for women recovering from financial abuse. 3 bedrooms, fully furnished, 6-month stays while they rebuilt. The first resident moved in next month. Lakeisha, who'd lost everything to Albert and Diane 5 years ago. You know what's wild? I said to Shanice. They tried to take everything from me and instead they taught me exactly how strong I am. How much I'm capable of surviving. The doorbell rang. My new contractor here to discuss renovations. As I walked to answer it, I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. I looked different. Harder maybe. But also more myself than I'd been in years. Some people try to break you because they can't stand your strength. The trick is realizing they never had that power to begin with. You did. You always did.